I found this story where it shouldn't have been, and once you hear it, it doesn't let go. On Valentine's night, I held a fossil that looked like a heart, and it started beating in my palm. If you're listening alone tonight, like, share, and subscribe to Bloody Chapter. Because some love stories don't end, they hatch. Written and told by Mr. D. My story. It was raining the way it rains when the city wants to erase itself, and I was standing at a private excavation site outside the museum, invited to what they called a Valentine dig experience. Couples only. Lantern light, warm drinks, a little romance painted over mud and bones. I wasn't supposed to be there alone, not really. But life changes faster than plans, and sometimes you show up anyway just to prove you're still a person. They handed me a badge and didn't ask questions, which should have been my first warning. The site was fenced, quiet, and guarded like a crime scene. A woman in a clean coat led us down into a trench where the ground smelled old, like wet stone and time. "Tonight you'll uncover something rare," she said, voice too calm, like she'd rehearsed it. "A discovery you can share." Around me, couples laughed softly, holding hands in gloves, taking pictures they weren't allowed to post because phones were discouraged. I remember thinking that was strange for a romantic event. Then I saw the cameras mounted on the poles around us, watching anyway. They put each couple at a dig square like it was a date table. Little tools laid out neatly, roses pinned to our jackets like a joke. And when the woman reached my square, she paused, looked at me a second longer, then said, "You'll do." I asked what she meant, but she'd already moved on, clipboard tapping against her thigh in a rhythm that felt like counting. I dug because everyone else dug. Because when you're surrounded by people acting normal, your brain tries to be normal too. My trowel hit something hard that didn't feel like rock. It felt like polished bone. I brushed away the mud slowly and saw it. A stone formation the exact shape of a heart, smooth and dark, veined with pale lines like fossilized arteries. It was too perfect, too symbolic, too convenient for Valentines. And the moment my glove touched it, warmth crawled into my fingers. Not from my skin, from it. I pulled back, breath catching, and the woman in the coat was suddenly beside me like she'd been waiting for that moment. "Careful," she whispered. "That one reacts." I laughed under my breath because the word reacts didn't belong in a sentence about a fossil. "It's a rock," I said. She smiled without warmth. "It's older than rock," she replied, and motioned for me to lift it. I should have refused. But every eye felt like it was on me, and I hated the idea of being the only one afraid. I lifted the fossil heart from the earth and it came free with a wet sound, like something letting go. The warmth intensified, pulsing once, then again. Slow. Deliberate. I froze, staring at it like I was holding a living thing trapped in stone. "Do you feel that?" I asked, half to myself. The woman's smile widened just a fraction. "It likes you," she said. Then she stepped back and called out to the other couples, "Everyone, hold your finds together. Both hands." At the same time, the couples obeyed like it was part of the experience. Romantic, right? Two sets of hands meeting over ancient bones. But when a man and woman near me touched their fossil together, the lights above us flickered. Not like a power issue, like something responded. A low vibration rolled through the ground, soft enough that you felt it more than heard it. And the fossil heart in my hands beat harder. I tried to set it down, but my fingers wouldn't let go immediately, like my grip had become instinct. Then a speaker crackled somewhere on the fence line, and a recorded voice began to play, calm and clinical. Pair bond response confirmed. Imprint phase initiated. Subject proximity increases reaction. Continue exposure. My stomach dropped. Because that wasn't a tour guide. That was a lab log. I looked around and noticed details I'd ignored: tranq rifles on security belts, the way the fences weren't just fences but layered with electric lines, the way the cameras weren't for memories but for monitoring. The woman in the coat watched us like a farmer watches livestock, and the vibration in the ground grew stronger, like a far-off engine waking up. One of the couples laughed nervously, asking if this was some immersive theater thing. The woman didn't answer. She just spoke into her headset low. Imprint confirmed. Multiple units. Proceed. The fossil heart in my hands pulsed again, and this time it wasn't subtle. It thudded like a heartbeat against my palm, and I felt a sting under my glove, sharp and quick, like a needle kiss. I yanked the glove off and saw a tiny dot of blood on my fingertip. The fossil had a hairline crack now, and something dark glistened inside it like wet resin. The recorded voice returned, colder this time. Do not separate once imprint begins. Separation triggers retrieval response. Retrieval. That word sat in my chest like a weight. I started backing away. Fossil heart held out like it was contaminated, and the ground beneath us answered with a deep tremor that made tools rattle. Somewhere beyond the trench, in the black rain, something massive moved. Not fast, not angry, just certain, like it knew exactly where its signal was coming from. The lights around the dig site flickered again, and far off, behind the fence, a sound rose from the earth, half roar, half groan, like a throat waking from a 1,000-year sleep. The woman in the coat leaned close to me and whispered, almost lovingly, "Congratulations, Mr. D. You've been chosen." The fossil heart beat once more, and the crack widened like a smile. I should have thrown it back into the dirt. I should have crushed it under my boot and ran. But the moment I tried to lower it, my arms trembled like my body understood a rule my mind hadn't learned yet. The fossil heart didn't want to be abandoned. It pulsed in my hand, warm and insistent, and the ground answered like a second heartbeat beneath the world. People started panicking now, soft panic first, the kind that asks questions and laughs at the same time. Then real panic, the kind that makes someone scream a name and realize names don't help. One couple tried to separate, one person stepping back while the other still held their fossil. And the vibration surged so hard the trench walls shed wet clumps of earth. The speaker crackled again. Separation detected. Retrieval response activated. The woman in the coat didn't look surprised. She looked satisfied, like the experiment was finally doing something worth writing down. Floodlights snapped on beyond the fence line, cutting through rain in long white blades. And for one terrifying second I saw it. Not fully, just the shape of it moving behind trees and equipment. Too tall, too heavy, a silhouette with a spine like broken knives. The ground trembled as it shifted, slow and patient, circling like it was catching a scent. The fossil heart in my hand beat faster, and the crack across it widened until I could see inside something glossy, dark, alive-looking, not stone at all. I backed away again, and the woman grabbed my wrist with gloved fingers like steel. "Don't fight it," she said softly. "It's already bonded." "Bonded to what?" I snapped, and she tilted her head like I was slow. "To you," she said. "You're the signal now." My phone, yes, I still had it buzzed in my pocket even though there was no service out here. I pulled it out and the screen was on, showing a red pulsing icon I didn't recognize, like a heart monitor line. A new message appeared, not from any contact, just plain text. Imprint, complete. Under it, mate response, active. My blood went cold. I looked up at the fence and finally noticed the scratches on the metal post's old gouges, deep, layered. Not from tools, from claws. This wasn't their first Valentine. This wasn't their first experience. A man near the far trench shouted that he could see something moving in the rain. Then the floodlights caught eyeshine to bright points far back. Then another pair, then another, like the dark had multiplied. Someone ran toward the exit gate, and the security guards raised tranq rifles, not at the thing outside. At us. Stay in your squares. One of them yelled, voice cracking. Don't break formation. Formation. Like we were part of a pattern. The fossil heart in my palm throbbed so hard it hurt. Like it was syncing with something huge and hungry out there. And then the fence line shook. Not a little. Violently. Metal screaming under pressure. The sound that followed was not movie Dinosaur loud. It was worse. A low, chest-deep bellow that didn't just hit your ears. It hit your organs. People fell to their knees without meaning to. The woman in the coat let go of my wrist and spoke into her headset, calm as prayer. Unit approaching. Prepare retrieval. Retrieval. I understood then. The love fossil wasn't a fossil. It was a biological lock. A nest marker. A mating signal preserved like a trap. Valentine's wasn't for romance. It was for timing. For imprinting. And I was holding the key to a creature's oldest instinct. The crack in the heart widened and something inside shifted, like a seed waking up. I finally did what I should have done from the start. I threw it. I hurled it into the mud as far as my arm could send it. The fossil heart hit the ground and the pulse stopped for half a second, then the earth answered with a violent tremor, like I'd slapped a sleeping animal. The floodlights flickered. The fence screamed. And the thing outside hit it again. The metal bowed inward, rainwater spraying off it in sheets. A security guard fired a tranq dart into the darkness, and the darkness didn't care. The fence snapped open at one corner with a sound like a bone breaking, and something stepped through. Not rushing, not charging, just stepping like it owned the world. Tall, wet, breathing steam into the rain. I couldn't see its face clearly, but I felt its attention lock onto the mud where the heart had landed. It lowered its head slowly, like a lover approaching a gift. Then it lifted that heart-shaped thing with the gentlest motion, as if it mattered. And when it did, my phone buzzed again. Signal reclaimed. I started backing away, shaking, because if it reclaimed the signal, maybe it would leave. Maybe it would take the Valentine and go back into the dark. But the creature didn't retreat. It raised its head and turned toward me. Like it could still smell my blood on the imprint. The woman in the coat smiled, rain running down her cheeks like tears she didn't feel. You can't undo imprint, she said softly. You can only complete it. Behind her, the other floodlights caught movement, another silhouette, another spine, another set of eyes. The ground trembled in rhythm now, multiple heartbeats beneath the mud, and I realized the true horror. The love fossil was never meant to bring one creature back. It was meant to call a pair, to create a Valentine, two of them. And when the first one stepped closer, slow and certain, I felt the vibration match my pulse so perfectly it was like my body had been rewritten. My phone displayed one last line of text, bright as a confession. Happy Valentines, Mr. D. You have been claimed. And in the rain, the creature let out a sound that didn't feel like a roar anymore. It felt like a call, like it was announcing me to the dark.